What is up, everybody? This is JP, your online personal trainer. First things first, please check out my Patreon. It's patreon.com/JP Fitness. Again, that's patreon.com/JP Fitness. I have, I think, about 6 different rewards available for people who want to support me as a creator. Rewards with things like weekly workouts, all the way up to hiring me as your own online coach. I can make you your own personalized programs, to one-on-one consultations for any questions that you have. So again, please check out patreon.com/JP Fitness. Now I have this timer for this video because I tend to make my videos a little bit too long. So I'm really going to pay attention to this timer and try to keep it under 10 minutes. Just so you guys don't have to be watching super long videos. I'm going to try to keep this timer in most of my videos and keep them separate from my podcasts, because my podcasts, again, those are going to be longer, 30 minutes to an hour roughly, somewhere around there. My videos, I'm really going to try to keep under 10 minutes unless it's just an occasion where I have to talk a little bit more. All right, today's video is going to be the deadlift, and it's going to be the conventional versus the sumo, and why I think more people should try the sumo variation of the deadlift. Now, when you start getting to more advanced lifters, this isn't so much of a problem. A lot of advanced lifters have already tried these variations, and if you haven't, I'll give you a bunch of reasons why in a little bit, but most of the time, it's not the advanced lifters that have this problem. It's more of the beginner or intermediate lifters that have this problem. Specifically, people that I see when I go to the gym. I rarely ever, if at all, see people doing sumo, and then I see a lot of problems with their squat. Again, I'm not form police. I don't walk up to people, but then that's not really my place to do that. But again, it's in my head, I'm thinking, okay, they should probably try sumo, or I could tell that they maybe haven't. Again, I don't know if they have or haven't, but typically from form, I can usually tell. There's a lot of reasons why people may mess something up, but I'm going to go over the differences, a little bit of the differences in the two, and why you should try sumo if you haven't already, and definitely give that a shot. Okay, the main reason, or the main reason why, or how you can tell which one is better, is just by trying out which one feels best to you. No, this isn't a cop-out answer. And by doing this, I would give some stipulations to this. One, I would incorporate both sumo style and conventional in your workout program, or replace the one that you're used to doing with the other variation, which is usually most people do conventional. And if you want to try out sumo, replace conventional completely with sumo and see how you go. I wouldn't recommend that route first. What I would recommend first is just doing both. Do both, implement them into your program. Hopefully you're having 2 leg days. Again, that's a video for another time, but hopefully you have 2 leg days, or at least 2 or 3 that week. You could do sumo on one day and then conventional on another. Or if you only have 1 leg day, just maybe split up your exercise, 2 or 3 sets in a conventional, 2 or 3 sets in sumo, so you can try it out. But I would really recommend doing sumo style, or whatever style that, again, I'm saying sumo, but there may be a rare few people who have done sumo and they're not trying conventional. You could apply this the other way. But if you haven't done sumo or never tried it, I would recommend doing it for at least 2 months, 2 to 3 months. 3 months is preferable. The reason why is because sometimes when you try something new, your body needs to get a little bit used to it. You need to get used to the range of motion. Your nervous system needs to get used to it, just to see if it feels better. Now, again, so I would go 2 to 3 months of trying both, or just trying sumo if you're mainly conventional. This will help you give a fair shot at trying to see if it really works for you, and see if it's something that fits for you. Is just giving it a fair shot and trying it both at the same time. The reason why is just due to anatomical differences. Everyone's different. Hip depth, range of motion that your hip allows you to do. Maybe you're someone who has really good external rotation or hip abduction. If those things benefit you, but you haven't tried the sumo squat, you won't really know until you try it. And again, try out both for 2 to 3 months. So that's the main thing you could do, is just see which one feels best to you. Again, that's very vague, but trust me, I used to do conventional, and then I went over to sumo. Everything felt a million times better. Just from trying it and not giving it a chance. I didn't look up arm lengths or limb lengths. Just try it and see which one feels better. And again, you do this for 2 or 3 months. Don't try sumo. Obviously, if you try something to begin with, me at least, it was different. When I tried it to begin with, I loved sumo. I instantly knew that was better for me. It just felt better, and it didn't cause me some problems, which we're going to talk about in 2 and 3 in a little bit. But just try it. If it doesn't feel good to you at first, just keep doing it. Maybe don't go as heavy with it. And I would really recommend, if you're going over to sumo, is to stretch. Make sure you stretch post-workout another time throughout the day. Do a good dynamic warm-up. Have rehearsal sets before your sumo squat, because it's going to be different. You can't not stretch, not work on hip abduction, not do a good dynamic warm-up, and maybe like, oh, sumo squat's not for me. Of course, if it's something new that you've never done and you just jump right into it, it's probably going to be a little bit different, a little bit awkward. It might not be as smooth for you at the beginning. So give it a fair shot. And again, just trying it, comparing it, and see how you do. Another reason how you can, I'm at 440 right now. Another reason or way you can tell that maybe sumo might be good for you is if you're doing conventional and your range of motion sucks with good form. And you can tell this by, let's just say, the second you get within like the bottom 6 inches of the ground, let's just say you start to round your back. What if that happens every single time? What if you have a friend that tells you, oh, your back rounds once you get near the bottom, you're good at this point, and your back starts rounding. But you're thinking in your head like, I stretch, I do all these like good dynamic warm up, I do everything right, I do, I try to keep good form, I do practice with technique and everything, then that just might mean that biomechanically your anatomy might not be suited for a conventional deadlift. And what this usually leads to, and at least all points tied together, form, range of motion, is low back injuries, low back pain, and in the worst case scenario, a herniated disc. But if you feel like every time you do conventional, your low back hurts, and you know you have good form, you do proper warm-ups, workups to your sets, you stretch, you do everything proper, good nutrition, good sleep, no prior injury from like a football or another sport, and your low back hurts only when you do conventional deadlifts, that is another good reason that you might want to try sumo, because I think it's EMG data that I looked at from a study showed that there was more spinal erector activation in a typical conventional deadlift. Basically, your spinal erectors were used more in the regular style deadlift versus a sumo. So when you do sumo, if you just look at it, you can kind of tell by looking at a sumo versus a traditional deadlift is that you're more inclined versus more like upright at an angle. Like this versus a conventional where you're kind of more bent over, which again will automatically cause you to use a little bit of more of your spinal erector. So if you have low back pain, your form just gets like shit towards the bottom, and you do everything else right, it might mean that biomechanically the regular deadlift is just not made for you. And the last point is, which one are you stronger in? If you do step one and you find out 2 or 3 months that you're lifting more with sumo, you're doing more for sub max and hopefully max too, that's probably a good sign that, because if you're lifting more loads with it, it's most likely that it feels good for you, which again is a big key factor in which one you should use. But again, it's a simple question. If you're stronger in it, that's probably a good form. So just combine those things. If it feels better, if you're getting stronger, which usually go hand in hand, if it doesn't hurt anywhere, like if you do a sumo and your hips hurt and you've done proper warm-ups and you've done it, tried it, but it's just something about your hips, it just feels off and it hurts, don't do it. It's obviously not meant for you. But like I said, takeaways, try it first. Base it off of how your conventional looks, if it feels good or not, and then which one are you stronger in. All right, give this a try. Please comment down below if you have any questions about them versus each other. If you have any like other requests, if you want me to do another video comparing 2 different exercises. But again, this isn't one better than the other. It's all individual dependent. But again, last things last, please check out my Patreon, patreon.com/JPFitness. I got a lot of rewards for patrons that are willing to support me as a creator. But until next time, see ya.